Well then, thought I'd do a Kodiak update. Not done one in a while. I think the last video I was on the Big Bear. As you can see, things have ended up kind of torn apart. Well, let's start from the beginning, shall we? I've sorted all the issues that I went over in the first video. Like, I've even got to get a torch ready for this. It's professional, that, isn't it? And as you can probably see, or maybe not, it has got, there you go, it's just that bit of red there. That's the boot for it. It's got a new drive shaft, or front prop, should I say, and coupler. What had happened, as I went over in the last video, is the old one had rounded off, but the engine, shaft that came out of the engine was still perfect, so that's sort of the four-wheel drive issue. All that now works. The other major thing I did, well, not so magic, but I changed the seal in the front diff. That one there. You can just about see that, probably. That was leaking like anything. It leaked pretty much all the diff oil out overnight. And the other major leak, which I sorted, was this one here. See that rubber boot there? You might see it a bit from this side. There you go, where the torch is shining. There is a rear output shaft, or main seal I suppose you'd call it, on the back there. That was leaking quite a bit of engine oil. I suspect that was probably because that rubber boot had been torn and dirt had gotten in. So yeah, replaced that. That's now not leaking, and it looks a hell of a lot better than just having a raw sort of drive shaft there. Now, once I got all this sorted, drove it a few miles, and I've discovered some further issues. First one, and probably the most minor, the brakes on the front wheels. As you can see, it goes in way too far. Should only come to about here, whereas it comes in all the way, virtually. And that, I've decided it's either one of two things. It's either because I've used old brake fluid, which I know I shouldn't do. I had, as usual, virtually full bottle lying around, which I didn't want to waste. It's just up here. It's only cheap. .4, I think it is. Yeah, .4 brake and clutch fluid. It's been sitting not open, but with the seal cracked for about a month. So potentially water gone in, or water vapor, should I say, and is damaging the process, or making it sort of compress. As you know, the whole point of brake fluid is it doesn't compress. So as you put your hand on the brake thing, it literally forces the fluid and pushes the calipers in, rather than just compressing the fluid within the lines. Look at that, got brake fluid all over my hand now. Shouldn't have picked that bad bottle up. So it's either that, or it's a leaky seal. Now, one of the calipers was completely seized, the slider on it. So I've done a fair bit of hammering on that, and I've replaced the seals with some I had left over from the Grizzly 450 project, and we fixed the issue to an extent. So yeah, sorry about that, got interrupted. But yeah, it's hopefully, come on, focus. There we go. It's hopefully just bad brake fluid, but potentially that caliper is shot and I need a new one. You can get them pretty cheap from China. I found a set of 2 for 40 quid, but anyway, that's not the big issue here. The big issue is that it had a ton of smoke out the back. Now, not all the time. It was on after overrun. So that means fair speed, let it coast down on engine braking, then hit the gas again, plumes of smoke came out the back. Now, in general, that's either one of two things. It's either your boy's worn and he's sucking oil past the valve seals, or it's just the valve seals are worn and the sort of extra, how do I put it, the extra vacuum in the cylinder on the overrun is just pulling them past the worn seals. I hope that makes sense. It's either that the bore is really worn, or the piston seals are worn, basically. To put it in sort of the valve seals, what the hell am I on about? I always get mixed up in these videos, but anyway, tore the cylinder head off. Now, obviously got a rag in to stop the moisture of it getting in there. As you can see, there's the bore. If I get the torch again, that's a pretty clean bore. In fact, it's probably the cleanest I've seen. So there's not a lot wrong with that. I can run my finger in it and it's completely smooth, and there's not even a ridge at the top. So yeah, it's not the bore, it is the valve seals. And it's also worth noting, there was a pool of oil sitting on the top of the engine that had obviously come from the exhaust valve. So yeah, that's just confirmed it. The cylinder head's over here. By the way, I'm sorry this is a boring video. I know it's not a lot going on, but I haven't been able to drive it recently, so yeah. I'm planning to do a mudding video once I've actually finished it. So yeah, stay on for that. That's good of me, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, as you can see, there's the cylinder head. I've decoked it. It was quite a lot of carbon on there. Now, whether that was due to the oil burning partly, I don't know, but that's all clean now. It doesn't look too bad. I'm either going to do it myself. I've ordered the valve seals, etc. But the main problem I can see with doing it myself is this is obviously the valve cover. Take it off. And obviously it's not like on a car where you've just got your valves completely exposed. So, if you can see, you can only get to a portion of the spring, so you probably need either a special tool or just a lot of patience. Now, whether I choose to do it myself, I don't know. It's probably less than an hour's less than an hour's labour at a shop. So just for the sort of safety of the cylinder head, I may get them to do it. But we'll see on that one. I may even make a video if I do it myself. Just, if anything, just to keep a record for myself. So if I mess up, I can refer back to how it was. But yeah. Right, so that's the main issue as I've gone over it. There's the port for the cam chain. Yeah, cam gear sits on the air, chain goes around it, obviously. The chain itself and the tension are all in good condition. Chain's obviously still an engine, there's the tensioner. So the ratcheting mechanism still works well. There's the cam gear, no worn teeth. It's quite a good design. This is obviously most engines are going to be like it, but it sits on there. And as you can see, it's got this sort of sprang. I've forgotten the word now. This sort of, what would they normally call it? Well, anyway, it's got this sort of section that you can. It basically won't go on any other way, so that when you time it, you align the marks, and you know it's in exactly the right position. Because if it's not, bye-bye your valves. Yeah. So that's a bit of an update on the Kodiak. Again, sorry it's a boring video. Haven't got anything else to film, except a sock tread I've just bought, but that's probably going to be even more boring. I'll probably do it anyway, just in case you want to know. The only other thing I've found is that this rear wheel has a slow puncture. I've done two, which were normal, but this one appears to have a crack in the alloy. It's a tiny hairline crack. You can barely see it unless you shine a torch on it. It takes about 2 weeks to deflate. So, can't decide what I'm going to do that, whether I'm going to get it welded or whether I'm going to replace the wheel or just do nothing, because it's such a slow leak. It's just if it gets worse, obviously. I mean, it's not going to greatly affect the strength of the wheel on something like this, but we'll see on that. So yeah, I'm also going to try and start filming myself actually doing things, because you come and you see it this far torn down. It might have actually been interesting for some people to watch it. But, oh yeah, there is one more issue as well. This. Oh, it's done. The first time the time I do it on the video, it works, but normally that won't go all the way and just gets stuck and you can't put it back in. So I may have to look at that. There was a spare one in when I got it, but I just suspect that's the old one and they just didn't put it in right, but we'll have to see. Speedo also doesn't work, but that's such a tiny issue, I'm not really bothered. It's just going to be a sensor, but the sensor's 50 quid, so I probably won't replace it. So, yeah. She's looking in a bit of a state, but hopefully next video I'll either be putting it back together or it'll be back together. Or the next video with this anyway. So yeah, see you in the next one.